Hello and welcome to Yes Go. This is your host, Coach AM. Yes Go, a show about the two biggest questions that we face every day when we're faced with opportunity. Number one, should I do this? And number two, when should I start? The answers are simple. Yes and go. You see, it's not about the journey being perfect. It's about the willingness to be unperfect and follow your desires and play full out, having 20 seconds of insane courage. And I am so happy today to have with us a guest who has demonstrated the Yes Go philosophy. I mean, she's living it, and we're so honored to have her on the show. It is Amira Alvarez. But before I actually have her come on, let me tell you a little bit about Amira. She is an income acceleration specialist for the unstoppable woman. She's dedicated to helping highly ambitious entrepreneurial women have a successful business and a fully actualized pinch me life. I can't wait to get into that. She works in deep part with her clients, helping them to step off the hamster wheel of never enough and make quantum leaps in their levels of income, impact, ease, happiness, and fulfillment. Without further ado, please help me welcome to the show, Amira Alvarez. Hello, Amira.
Hi there. How are you, Andre?
I am doing excellent. I am so glad to have you on the show. I am so just blessed and I'm so inspired by the things that you're doing on social media. And I just love how you're just coming out and blossoming. I remember meeting you a couple of years ago, I think it was, and you were just really putting this master plan together, and you were really on the verge of it. And now to see you execute it, it is mind blowing.
Thank you so much. I love that reflection. And 2 years in the grand scheme of things is nothing. It's like a blink of an eye.
This is so true. This is so true. So, Amira, the difference between Yes Go and a lot of shows is that we like to say that we humanize success. How many times have you heard someone who was super successful say, hey, I was just like you, right? But we don't really know how much they were just like us. And how would you know unless you inquired about their Yes Go moment? What was it like to step forward in an opportunity? What was it like to court that opportunity? What kind of fear was surrounding that? You know, what happened when you first took the leap? And that's what Yes Go really does. We kind of help people to understand the person behind the success, what they were dealing with in that Yes Go moment, and how they navigated it. And as a result today of making that decision where they are. So I'm just so happy to jump into this discussion with you. We talked about earlier about you being an income acceleration specialist. Talk to the audience a little bit more about just about you, what it is that you do, and what brought you to this place in your journey.
Sure. First of all, I want to just affirm I love your philosophy, and I love this idea of unpacking like success so that we're just not looking at the pretty after picture, but we see what happens all along the way, because it is a journey. It's not a destination. So I'm super excited to dive in all your questions. Okay, so income acceleration specialist. So I was in business for myself, and I wanted to, make a nice living, pay my bills, support myself, my family, all of that good stuff. And I realized I didn't know how to do that. I hung out my shingle as an entrepreneur and thought that, the people would come, it would, I had this great service, this great offering, and why wouldn't it work? Maybe a little naive there. And I realized I had to learn how to do business because there was a lot to it that I didn't understand. So I trained myself. I took lots of courses. I worked with different coaches and people who taught business. And I ended up being decently successful. But I was working like a little hamster on a wheel, like just like nonstop. And there is hard work to put in, absolutely. I don't want to imply that you know, money just rains from the sky and you don't have to put any causes into action. However, I was working 10, 12-hour days, and I wasn't making the level of income that I wanted to. It was all right. But I couldn't crack that code. Like, how can I make double, triple, 5 times what I was making without double, tripling 5 times my hours? Or if I wanted to 10 times my income, how could I couldn't put in 10 times more hours. It just wasn't possible. So I started to look at and recognize that I was missing something, because if hard work alone or intelligence alone or a good education alone, or even all 3 of those things together, which I had, wasn't enough to really move the needle and get me to the level that I wanted to get to, which quite frankly was much higher than where I was at, income-wise, revenue-wise. I needed to figure out a different way, because this way couldn't scale, if you will. Okay. So that was the light bulb moment for me when I was, it was the end of a long day. It was like 7 p.m. and my honey called upstairs, "When are you ready for dinner?" And I was like, "Just one more thing." And I was like on my laptop, sitting on the floor. I still hadn't brushed my teeth. I hadn't taken a shower yet. I was in my comfy work at home clothes, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, it was this giant light bulb moment. Like, what the heck am I doing? I can't keep that pace going. And again, I'm not advocating for not putting the effort in. I want to be clear here, but I just couldn't keep that pace going and really scale. Yeah.
You said a mouthful and 2 hand grabs. I mean, it is amazing. There was so much there. We could probably talk the hour on just what you just spoke about. But I want to highlight and emphasize a couple of things. Number one, you talked about the dynamic of intelligence and just working hard. And you said a key point there. You said that I realized that it just wasn't scalable. It wasn't sustainable. And I know you can speak to this, having, been on the other side of it now. For so many entrepreneurs, when they're wanting to get into the game, and they just said, you just have to be willing to work hard and, 14, 16 hours a day for, you to validate the fact that you're an entrepreneur. Or, you have to be super smart at what it is that you're doing. What I get from what you're sharing is that, yes, we don't want to negate the work ethic of it all, but just to be doing things for extensive amount of period of time all day long, just to be busy for the sake of being busy, or telling yourself, you know what, I have to be smarter and I have to know more. It's just not the ingredients or the recipe that we think to get us to the where it is that we want to go. I want to go back and touch on that for a moment, if you will. Elaborate a little bit more on that.
Absolutely. So there's a lot there. So for one, entrepreneurs tend to have a strong work ethic, and they will put in the hours for their dream. But if you do the math, you're making like $5.66 an hour or something, if you're not making significant amounts of money. And yes, right out the gate, are you going to be a multimillionaire? Probably not. Can it happen quickly? It can happen quicker than you think, for sure. But just because you have that drive doesn't mean you're using your energy in the right way. And that was one of the main things I needed to learn. What were the actual move the needle actions that I needed to take to really change the amount of income I was receiving? And it's not complicated once you figure it out. So that's one thing. The second thing I want to say on this is that it's it's not just about, I just want to emphasize this. It's not just about being smart or well-educated or working hard or even being kind and a good person, right? All of these are incredibly valuable characteristics and traits, but there are a lot of people out there with these characteristics and traits. So if that's not the thing that's, and those people, you know, if that was all that it took to be a multimillionaire or to make a lot of money or whatever your income goal is, right? Maybe it's just going from 20K to 40K, whatever your quantum leap, you know, your income acceleration is. If that was all that it took, there would be a lot of people who would be much more successful, okay? So you have to think about that. So then I back engineered this. I started thinking, you know, well, what is different? And one of the things that I recognized was that I had received a lot of knowledge, both formal education, you know, going to college, all that stuff, but, and that taught me how to think. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. And specialized knowledge around, you know, how to build a business and all of that. But there's another sort of knowledge that we weren't taught, at least most of us weren't taught, that I really had to learn. And this is what I studied that changed everything for me. And this is what I call the laws of success or the laws of the universe. They go by a lot of different names, but they are the fundamental concepts that help you understand how this world works. And that, Andre, I really did need to study. Okay, I did need to put in the time to figure out, not just, you know, I went to the seminars, I got the training, I got the lessons, I read the books, but then I had to really apply it to my life. So
that's a great point. Now that's a great stopping point for us too here for this first segment. We want to come back and elaborate on this informal education, and we want to tie that in and just exactly how all of that connected to your bringing you to your Yes Go moment. So hang in there with us, guys. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Yes Go. I am your host, Coach A.M. Williams, and I am here with Amira Alvarez. And we were just talking about the dynamic of informal education in contrast to formal education. And right before we even started to that, we were talking about intellect and knowledge and, you know, the education that we've sown into for so many years. Interestingly enough, if you were anything like I was when I grew up, we were all told, you know, you get this amazing education and position yourself to get a great job. Okay. And when you get bit by the entrepreneurial bug, man, everything that you learned about formal education, kind of like, what did I just spend the last 4, 6, 8 years of my life doing? How was that experience like for you when you got bit by the entrepreneurial bug?
So are you asking me, like, when I got bit by the entrepreneurial bug, how did that affect my understanding of education? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, as far as like everything that you have gained up to that point, and in the formal education structure, and as you begin to embrace entrepreneurship, what was that transition like for you? Because we talked about the informal
Sure.
education and the laws and the universal laws, the laws of success and things of that nature. Speak to that. When you
Yeah.
came to that point, what was that contrast like for you? If there was any, what was that like for you?
So here's the thing. The formal education, like, I have a stance in life, no regrets, right? Everything that we've done up until now has gotten us to the place that we are now and who we are now. So that education helped me be who I was, gave me a huge amount of experience. And now I'm at this place, I'm in this entrepreneurial journey. What can I take from that? And what else do I need going forward? So the things that I took from that were, you know what? I had great study skills. like I knew how to study. I knew how to apply myself. I learned how to do that through that formalized structure. And so as an entrepreneur, I think a lot of entrepreneurs suffer from shiny object syndrome and jumping from one thing to another and being scattered. And when I set out to really learn the laws of success or the universal laws, I studied and I took what I learned, that kind of ability to focus and pull out information into this informal study. I made it a formal study for myself in a way, even though there was no certificate or degree or anything like that. I went after it with the same level of commitment that, someone would go after like their master's degree, which
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I went after it like that.
You bring up an interesting point because I'm a firm believer. I follow that. I can appreciate the philosophy of no regrets, because the one thing about formal education that it did give me all the way up through my master's degree was it really conditioned me to train. And I say train in comparison to study, because when you study something, you just intake information. It's just confirmation. I mean, just constantly intaking information. But when you train, you are constantly having to apply what it is that you learned, constantly applying. So it's study plus application, study, implementation, and then what did you gain from having tried that? Like, and putting that in motion. What did you learn about yourself? What did you, what were you able to pull away from that to better your journey and moving forward? And I think that's what my master's program gave me, that really helped me in informal education, is learning how to approach material and extract the actionable insights that work well for me in my business. And when I'm listening to you and what it is that you're saying, I'm hearing some of that too. Maybe not in the same words, but I'm hearing that it caused me to, that's what resonated with me about what you shared.
I love the way you framed that it's training, right? Because that it's not just intake, but training. It's like the application of it is so important. That's how you get it into your cells. That's how you get it into your body. That's how you, it's like building a muscle, right?
Exactly.
To that training analogy. I love that. Yeah.
So let's talk about this yes go moment for you. When you were talking about, I was just sitting there on the floor, and I just asked myself, what am I doing? you were in that, and one of the things that you brought up too, you was like, you were very much in your comfort zone. Now, I want to ask you, at that point, were you already an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what was that initial bite by the entrepreneurial bug for you? What was that when that opportunity came up for you? What was going on in your life at that time?
That's such an interesting question, Andre. So I have had a really, my entrepreneurial journey has evolved. What I'm doing now is very different than where I started. Okay. Mm-hmm. So where I started was, this is really interesting. So I had been in corporate. I loved my job. I was a go-getter. I was, moving up the ranks. And it was the tech.com bust. And I had written it up, and the company was growing. It was all great. And I was like, I thought I was all that and more, right? Because I was doing meeting with the CFO and doing all these great projects and stuff, right? I had it was exciting for me. I was young. It was thrilling. And then they started doing rounds of layoffs. And when they had laid off the CEO, I was like, I'm ready, give me the severance package, and it was, you know, as things go, great. They gave me a 6-month severance package. And I, you know, went home and I was like, okay, what do I want to be when I grow up, kind of thing. And well, first, let me just say, Andre, that I was so in a pattern of pleasing other people and having that be my motivating force, that when I got home, I didn't know what the heck to do with myself. I had all this time, right? And no focus for it. And let me tell you, I cleaned my house a lot, okay? Like, I just, like, what can I do? What can I do? I was like so addicted to doing. It was really insightful little moment. But let me shorten this a little bit, but I had a lot of back pain and getting numb fingertips and all this stuff from my sort of workaholism. And when I stopped and I, you know, had this time off, I couldn't distract myself with all the work. So I really felt it. Anyways, I looked into this modality that helped back pain and things like that. And this woman who was teaching it, she had this practice. It was in the back of her house. There was this beautiful studio in this garden with rose bushes. It was just gorgeous. And she was very poised and beautiful. And I was like, I want that. I want her life right there. Give me that.
You know what? You know what? This is a great, what they call cliffhanger, because I want to take this moment. You saw something modeled and you said you want that. Now, when we come back from the break, we're going to tell everybody what that turned into.
Okay. Sounds good. I love
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Yes Go. This is Coach A.M. Williams, and I am here with AmiraAlvarez, income acceleration expert, and we were just getting ready to dive into her Yes Go moment. And I know we left you guys hanging on the last one because she had just saw something modeled and said, I want that. Now, Amira, tell them what happened after that.
Okay. So here's the thing. Before I do that, I just want to underscore something because it's super important. And it's something that I teach my clients, and you have to get. This is part of working with the laws of success. When you see something that you want, because that's what that moment was. I want that. And I was like, I want that. And if you have that moment, do not deny it for yourself. That is the first step in terms of becoming unstoppable in your life. Claiming your desires, wholly owning them, not saying that's for someone else, not saying later, not saying I'm not ready, not saying I can't do that because of X, Y, and Z. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. My kids are still at home. Whatever it is for you. No excuses. Like, if you want what you want, you have to claim it. And at the time, I didn't know that that was what I was doing. Now I understand that that is a fundamental principle to achieving your goals, is not denying your desires, your wants, okay? And that is absolutely how I have, quantum leaped my life, my business, made 7 figures, all of that, right? Like, it's by consistently recognizing those moments where I say, I want that. And maybe the doubt and fear and worry come up, right? Maybe you start thinking, is that reasonable? Is that something that, I can make happen? What if I fail? Could that possibly not work? Whatever it is, right? Your subconscious mind will kick in all these stories, okay? You have to stay firm and go, okay, I see that, I hear that, I know that that's happening, and I want this. And you just keep bringing yourself back to that, okay? So a little preaching there, but that's such an important point. Like, if you take anything away from this conversation, claim your desires. It's like each level, you don't have to if being a 7-figure entrepreneur is not the thing that's right in front of you that you want right now, claim the thing that's right in front of you, okay? Which is what I did then. Okay, so I ended up starting a business just like hers, teaching people this modality because I liked it so much and I learned so much. And it was nothing to do with being a business coach or an income acceleration specialist or helping people quantum leap the business. So that was my beginning of the entrepreneurial journey, was saying yes in that moment. That was my yes go moment right there. Okay. But then, you know, it evolved, and, you know, that's a really extra long story, how I got from there to here. But it's been consistently saying yes to the things in front of me. And when I was there, I couldn't have possibly seen my life now. Like, I had no vision for that. But what I really had to do, which is what I think you're teaching people in this podcast, is I just had to keep saying yes to what was directly in front of me, whether it was an opportunity, an idea, a desire. Like, it was a yes, go do it, even if I'm afraid. Okay.
That, you just gave the secret sauce to the show away.
Sorry.
You just gave, no, I mean, no, that, I mean, literally, and that's, I'm glad that you did it, because someone is sitting there and saying, yes, go, but what about my yes, go? And the reality of it is, the yes, go moment is just the first in a series of yeses, yes, go moments that you will have throughout your journey. Because once you say yes to the first, then it goes to another level, and then there's another opportunity, and yet there's another opportunity, and yet there's another opportunity. So it's like, it's not just one, but it is that first one that we're talking about that literally is what puts you on this path to a journey of many opportunities to take what you're doing and play in even higher level. And that is the amazing part. That's the part that I wanted people to really grasp about what you're saying. And that's why we couldn't even put it in the same segment. We had to separate this because I had no idea what you were going to share as far as claiming your desires, but it was like the perfect segue into what you just spoke about, in reference to the yes go moments and continually embracing those and moving forward in it. You have to claim that desire, and there will be countless opportunities for you to do that after the first one. You articulated that very well, almost better than anyone I've ever had on the show, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah.
So here's the thing, you know, one of the big challenges that people have is, like, they hear about people creating 7-figure businesses and things of that nature. And for some strange reason, when we hear that, we think, oh, well, it has to be a certain type of business for it to generate 7 figures. It has to be a certain, you know, oh, well, of course, it was that type of business. Yes, it can become a 7-figure business. What you're doing and where you started, and what where you started your practice, and now what that has evolved into. I want you to take a moment and speak to that, because for many people, they think that that's, you know, it has to be a certain type of business. Like, they couldn't take their hobby and turn it into something that could generate $1 million or more per year for them. Would you speak to that?
Absolutely. So there's two things to say here. One is, you do need to have the right business model. Okay, like, just from the practicality perspective, like, if you want to make $1 million and you're selling a service for $10.99, you're gonna have to sell a lot of those. So is your marketing in place, right? Is that gonna work? Like, you have to do the math and the numbers and all of that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not where you need to start, okay? You do really need to start with following each of these yes moments, okay? And being committed, also committed to your dreams, really going for it. So the other thing I want to say on this is that people get the order of creation flipped. I'm going to say wrong, okay? Even though like I don't like the right wrong continuum, but I want to emphasize that the $1 million businesses that you see now once were just an idea and no one had ever done it before.
Mm.
So the thing that you're saying, oh, well, it has to look like this, or it has to look like this, or it has to look like this, or it has to look like this, because that's all that you see right now, is a big fat lie, okay? That's a way for you to stop. That's a way for you not to take a risk. When in truth, every successful business started as an idea that no one had done before. Okay, so are there models? Are there sort of types of businesses? Sure. But at one point, no one had ever done that before. At one point, no one had made, 7 figures or 8 figures as a business coach. That was unheard of. Okay, someone had to do that first. Okay. At one point, someone had never started a business, selling flower delivery, right? Mm-hmm. Now we accept that as like just par for the course. But that started as an idea in someone's mind and saying yes to that idea and taking the steps. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense, a ton of sense. I really thank you for sharing that, because it went back to really underline what I was saying with it's not so much about the business as it is about the business model. There are people making extreme amount of money doing things we never thought that could be sold. As strange as it sounds, I grew up in a town where when they told us that one day we'd sell water, we laughed. Like we thought that was sell water? Are you serious? Nobody will ever buy a bottle of water. And if you say that to someone now, it's like, why wouldn't you buy a bottle of water? Why wouldn't you do that? So the point of it is, and I like the mentioning that you spoke about in reference to desires and having a willingness to follow your desires. I think that is so huge. And from the moment that you start doing that, you are already playing at a higher level, because most people will not follow their desires. They just don't do it. They are very much okay with having them as entertainment from their life, their Calgon moment, their moments of bliss away from their normal life, but they do not want to okay, it's just entirely too scary to actually think that I could do that for a living. Yeah,
it takes a lot of chutzpah, to be honest. And one of the things that I talk to people about is this idea that there's a gap between where you are now and what you want. And are you willing to look at that gap? Because that's this is your Calgon moment, right? Take me away, I really want this. But this is how you're living, okay? These are the results you're getting. This has been your life for the last 15, 20 years. Is that gap okay? Because you're accepting it unconsciously if you're not rejecting it consciously.
Accepting it unconsciously if you're not rejecting it consciously. Take a moment and chew on that. That is super important. Take a moment and chew on that.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Yes Go. Coach A.M. Williams with Amira Alvarez, and she has really I don't make the mistake of just listening to this interview one time. Make sure that you become a subscriber so that you can hear it again and again and again. She left so many takeaways in here. And the last segment about her Yes Go moment was one of the most valuable I've heard since I've done the show. Amira, now that we want to talk about the other side of Yes Go, having made the leap and saying yes to your desires, what has that now translated to for you in business today?
Yeah. So I'm going to answer that in a lot of different ways. One way I'm going to answer that is just financially, revenue, right? Let's just break it down. I had my first quantum leap was going from 30,000 to 90,000. And then I went from 90,000 to roughly 140. And then I made a major quantum leap and basically got to the very, very high six figures, almost breaking seven figures from that. It was 138. I actually know the numbers, right? And I haven't stopped. I've gone beyond that every year. So that's freaking amazing. Like when I say that out loud, I still have a little bit of a pinch me moment. Like that's an amazing leap. And I love it. And I love seeing my clients make leaps like that. Like this happens when you understand what to do. This can happen. Okay. But it goes beyond the money. Money is like first level quantum leap. I have been able to serve at such a higher level, which has allowed me to step into more of who I am. And that is priceless. That is priceless. To be able to do the work that that I was put on this earth to do there's no like monetary price to put on that. That's amazing. My levels of happiness, my levels of ease, my levels of feeling empowered, loving how I look, feeling beautiful. Everything has changed in my life. Okay. So yes, I get entrepreneurs, first level, front door. How do I make more money? Okay. That's why I call myself an income acceleration specialist, because I understand that is the front door. Like help me figure out how to do this. But ultimately, what we all really want is freedom. And freedom comes from having like a clear channel to spirit without any worry. Like not being worried that how you look, what people think, whether the money's going to come in, whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, if someone's going to be offended, any of that. Okay. Like freedom is being able to control your mindset and your life and how you're living. And it's freaking amazing. Okay. Did that answer your question? I kind of went on a rant there.
I mean, no, you didn't. Really, it's like people are sitting on the edge of their seats right now because there is true treasure that is flowing. You just articulated people's needs so well. The front door is all about income acceleration. Totally. This next level is really about freedom.
Yeah.
It's about and you know what's amazing about that is that as you continue to go through this, you're going to even subscribe to even higher levels.
Yeah,
and that speaks to that dynamic of dimensional success that I talk about. It's like, once you get past the money and then you're able to get past, you achieve the freedom. The question is, but why stop there? What's next?
Getting better and better,
Yeah. It's like, why stop there? This is amazing. Guys, as you can see, this is the reason why she's an income acceleration expert. But yeah, I want you to take a moment, Amira, and tell people how they can connect with you. What's going on in your world right now that our audience can connect with?
Super. Thank you for that. So, but the best place to find out about me is my website, which is AmiraAlvarez.com. Are you going to link to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we will have one.
It's AmiraAlvarez.com. It's spelled AmiraAlvarez.com. I have a program that I'm super excited about. It's called the Unstoppable Woman Mastery Program, and it goes deep into the concepts that we've just touched on. This was just light layer on how to actually actualize this in your life. And if you want more about that, you can go to the website and /Unstoppable Woman. So AmiraAlvarez.com/Unstoppable Woman. And then also you can find me on Facebook. Just look me up on Facebook. I do a morning Facebook Live and I talk about these concepts every morning. Join me. Totally free coaching will shift your mindset, will help you show up differently in the world. And it's the way that I give and the way that I give back. It's one of the ways, that's only one of the ways, but it's a fundamental part of my business model because the first law of receiving is giving. So I show up every morning, and it's a quick 5 to 10 minute teaching moment, and you can find me there.
Guys, don't even think about it. It's not even a second. You don't even need two thoughts with this. This is a no-brainer. Go and connect with Amira. Connect with her programs, Unstoppable Woman. Connect with her on Facebook. Tell her Coach AM sent you. Connect with her and the amazing work that she's doing. And be on the lookout, because she's really just revving up and getting started. You can hear it, man. She's not at the finish line by any means. She's just at the second stretch. And she's ready to open it up and air it out and say yes, go to her next phase of life. Here's the question. Having heard her story, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for to take that next leap? Are you at the stage where you're ready to say yes to your desires? Are you willing to step forward, be vulnerable, and claim what it is that you want? Are you ready to say aloud, I want that? Keep listening to this show, because we're going to make sure we're going to give you everything you need to support you from the moment you say yes and go. Each and every time, we're going to give it to you right here. This is Coach A.M. Williams. Amira, thank you so much for being with me today. And we would hope that you would come back and join us at Yes Go. And until next time, you guys stay on the path. Say yes to your desires. What are you sitting there for? Say yes. Go. God bless.